Hey, Mark Rodriguez here, and you're watching America's number one cure for insomnia, the Diving Cutter Wrestling Podcast. And with me are
Jack Naz from Jack Naz Reviews.
Jupi Chan, also known as Ninja Jupi, but you can also call me Wendy. And now I'm going to turn this over to the one, the only, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that probably said F this entire show, Johnny Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Yep, there we go, guys. So for this one, we're gonna be going over the what we thought was gonna be a pay-per-view, but turned out to not be a pay-per-view, just a regular TV episode. The Grand Slam, well, AEW Grand Slam Australia. But before we go into that, we're gonna go into other wrestling news and also a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff of Grand Slam. But first, let's go into the news. One thing I want to say real quick before we get started is I'm actually wearing the Nikki Bella shirt because Nikki Bella had like a cameo appearance, right, in this year's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did at the very end.
Yeah. So that was interesting. She exists, But yeah, we got some releases and everything.
That space could have gone to someone more worthy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, we got some big releases lately, and some of the bigger ones are Ricky Starks is no longer with AEW.
Finally.
And also Malachi Black is no longer with AEW.
Finally.
Yeah.
I think Miro's officially gone.
Miro. Yeah, they took him off the what do you call it, AEW roster page. So
Finally.
now they can finally go. Oh no. He can't even satisfy his wife anymore. They're divorced, didn't they? Did they separate?
There's a news story I have about that, by the way.
Uh-oh.
I'll get to that when I get to it. But yeah, let's see. Also, Ricky Starks debuted in NXT and is now Ricky Saints, which I'm like, for a name change, that's not too bad. It could have been way worse.
How's it spelled? Ricky Saints?
Saints, like
Saints. Oh,
like saint, like saints, like saints.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's not too far off. Which I'm like, okay, fair enough.
I have a
lot of people
while you're talking about it.
But it's good that he's at least in NXT, because a while ago I was starting to get a little worried because I think there was a footage where he was doing like wrestling like in the mall, like I'd have the wrestling ring, but it's like it's obviously at a mall. Like you see people using the escalators or their shopping bags and everything. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's all right, but it's not. At least now he's in the actual official, wrestling organization, after AEW.
Right. And then on top of that, he also flat out said
That's weird.
He
Very
implied a lot in an interview recently he did for Busted Open.
Very weird.
But it was like Bully After Dark, so it's Bully Ray's After Dark. It was Bully Ray's After Dark show for Busted Open that he basically said, without naming names, but a lot of people speculated that so he was injured in March, but it was a minor injury, and they just told him not to come back on TV. So they just told him, don't come back on TV. He also implied that there are people, he's like, a lot of the fan theories were that because I showed up at the Rumble as watching it, or WrestleMania to watch it, that's why I was punished, when that's total bullshit, because that was all private stuff that were already okayed by my boss. But he said he did speculate that pretty much was confirming the theory that he said there are specific people within AEW, he didn't say AEW, but obviously meant AEW. There's certain people specifically that did not want him there. And they specifically didn't want him there due to his association with other outside talent. So pretty much it is confirmed it's because he's friends with Cody / Punk / the Outcasts. And a lot of people speculate, and he said, he's like, a lot of that came from a veteran that works in AEW. So a lot of people are basically going, oh, so Jericho, who has pull? Think about it. Who has pull in AEW? who's a veteran. It's only like 2 people, Jericho and Sting, and you know Sting wouldn't do that shit. So there's that. Okay, so the other thing that happened recently was, as Mark mentioned, there were several releases, including Malachi Black, Miro, Ricky Starks. We already talked about it. Along with them was also releases from WWE, who could potentially be seen in AEW. Who knows? Isla Dawn, AOP, The Authors of Pain, with Paul Ellering. Let's see, who else? There was a couple people, weren't there?
Sorry.
There was a big name. I just forgot who it was. Hold on. Hold the phone.
Yerba Mate Organic.
Duke Hudson. Oh, Cedric Alexander. That's the big one.
Was he one of the hurt people that they're saying?
Yeah, he was one of the Hurt. Yeah, he was part of the Hurt Syndicate in WWE, or not the Hurt. What are they called? The Hurt Business in WWE. So more than likely, he will show up in AEW. And then the big shock was Sonya Deville. Like, a lot of people were shocked that Sonya Deville was released, but I wasn't, because I'm like, what do you bring to the table? In my mind, I'm like, certain releases, I'm like, I know it does seem unfair, but it's also like, it's a numbers game in wrestling. So it's like, as long as you don't leave on bad terms, that door is never 100% closed in my mind. So that's how I feel about it. But if you go, even then, you might be welcome back. I mean, like, Goldberg.
See a Punk come back, so who knows, right?
Goldberg.
Anyway, it's a big, as long as it makes money and all that.
And don't forget, what Vince McMahon was always like, he had his issues with people, but if he can see like it's going to make money for him or it's a good business venture, he will invite you back.
Hunter understands better than Vince. I really feel that who works and who doesn't. And obviously you do have to fill up the roster with people that aren't going to get over. You do need some developmental talent. That's fair. That's why you have a guy like R-Truth who's simultaneously over, but you're not going to put a top belt on him. Like, let's be honest here. But he is over. Fans love him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he stays in his lane, which is cool. But I think the other thing is Hunter understands it's a numbers game. Like, if you don't get the numbers as far as ratings, as far as people engaging in you, you're probably not going to be around for a long time, or you're not going to get as much push as you should, or you feel you should, because it is also wrestling. It's an ego game, because you get these wrestlers who are like, I'm owed. No one owes you shit in this industry. But one other thing, news story, since you brought up Miro, another news story that was also revealed on a podcast. There's 2 things that were revealed on a podcast recently. One was Dolph Ziggler revealed on Busted Open Radio that the infamous cucking storyline with him and what's her name? Lana. With that whole thing, apparently Vince not only wrote that and overseed it, he forced Miro to sit in a room with Vince and had Dolph and Lana recreate that kiss for 10 straight minutes.
What? Well, what?
Yeah.
I'm surprised Miro didn't do okay, so they're
what's he gonna say?
That kiss.
What is he gonna do? It's Vince. What is he gonna do?
I'm surprised Miro didn't do a Nails impression.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just saying, I'm like, when I read, I was like, what? I'm like, God damn. Jesus. Like,
keep pissing him. Oh, that's such good shit.
No, he tried
they didn't continue.
No, real, like he gets real.
They didn't continue. I'm just like, they didn't continuously kiss for 10 minutes, but he had them practice to make it look convincing for television. And I'm like, Okay, I've all right. That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
It's no big deal. I practice with Stephanie all the time. Hire me with Beth Phoenix.
And then Hunter comes in. He's like, "Boss, do you think we should make sure they know how to wrestle in their ring chemistry? Fuck ring chemistry, buddy. This is good shit." No, anyway, so there's that, and then the last podcast news, which was Jonathan Coachman recently revealed that apparently the infamous photo with Shane and Khan. Khan had reached out to Shane to work with AEW. But Shane only wanted to work with AEW if he had a chunk of share in the company, full creative control of the television show, and he got the final say in pay-per-views. And of course, Khan ghosted him after that.
Oh man, can you imagine how actually decent that would have been? I mean, I think Shane
but then we would have had less Death Riders, though. You know.
But
yeah, that's right.
But Khan and his toys, guys, his toy. I mean, wrestling roster is.
Well, you know, we all know it's great. It's great. Bing.
In a little more unsettling news, apparently Asuka has also confirmed that she has been, not in full detail, she has been stalked, harassed, and repeatedly gotten the police and WWE involved in multiple cases.
Yeah, her social media was recently hacked or something.
Yeah, her social media was also recently hacked, and she did just get it back, which is good. But it's like, I think I could speak for everyone here when I say, just leave wrestlers alone. Like, if you see them on the streets, if you're cool with them, and if they're cool, like, hey, can I take a selfie, or hey, can I say hi, whatever, that's fine. But if they don't do anything more than that, piss off. Like, they're still people. Leave them alone, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the only other news besides when we get into Grand Slam, which we will.
Yeah.
That the rest of it's Grand Slam.
It's like
related.
they've been, I guess, harassing her a lot. I remember she did a tweet or something saying like, "Please don't send, like, I guess, romantic messages or whatever to wrestlers, or wrestlers. We don't have any relationship with you guys in that way. Like, please stop."
Yeah,
something of the sort.
Yeah, I learned about it when Jim Cornette and Brian Last were talking about it, and they were like, "Okay, this is just, this isn't good. You know, the nice you shouldn't be harassing the wrestlers like that."
Yeah, I mean, he even told the story. Jim Cornette told the story about how he was outside of his house, and this guy walks up to his house. He never seen him before. He comes up to him. And he goes, "Hi," and he goes, "Hi," and he said, "I was just getting the mail." He goes, "Hi, I'm a huge fan, and I was wondering if I was looking for where your house was. I was wondering if you could sign." And he pulls out a stack of shit. I'm like, "I don't know you, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here."
I can hear him saying that. Yes.
And he's like, I had to run back at my house to get my bat to chase his ass out of my. I'm like, yeah, I agree. And then what was it? Even just recently on Matt Cardona's Major Wrestling podcast with Brian Myers, he revealed someone, he didn't give the name, someone had sent to his personal home address I guess a rare rookie card of Chelsea Green, and I guess the guy expected Chelsea to sign it and send it back. And he's all like, "If I had a PO box, maybe, but you sent it to my personal address, so not only am I not sending it back, I'm selling this shit."
Oh.
And I'm just like, yeah, I agree. So here's the message that Asuka wrote on Twitter. "I absolutely reject any romantic or personal approaches toward me. There's absolutely no possibility for others to interfere in my private life. I've been feeling in danger recently." That was the first tweet. Second tweet. "I've been feeling in danger recently. I've already consulted the police. At this rate, even if fans approached me at the airport or in the city, I will feel the possibility that something might happen, and it will scare me, make me unable to respond. And then the final tweet: please don't have romantic feelings for me. It's meaningless, 100% pointless.
Yeah.
Parasocial relationships can be toxic, folks. Like,
So,
I love Jay
more-
White. I love Jay White, but I'm not going to be going up to him. And it's like, hey, want to get a beer? I'm like, no, he will rightfully kick me in the nuts and run away.
Mark Rodriguez. I'd do anything for you, Mark Rodriguez. Man, not really. John Rodriguez. For John Rodriguez,
Okay.
he's cool.
Oh,
I mean,
thankfully we're not to that level, and then hopefully we'll never be that level. But anyways, guys, now to more positive news. Grand Slam. So, yeah. Yeah. Well,
Oh, wait, hang on. Johnny wanted to say something.
Oh, I just wanted to comment a little bit on the parasocial thing people have. Is that okay? Like, there's a reason why there's like a wrestling con where you could go take pictures of the wrestler, have your autograph signs. Like, there's place to do that. There's a time and place for that. But to just go in their very personal space, like, oh my God, going to their house pretty much and asking, hey, can you sign? He's like, that's freaking creepy, man. Even if you don't have bad intentions, it's so like an invasion of your privacy. Like, it's just weird. It's creepy. That's all I had to say.
I love when
coincidentally running into them. That's fine. Like, maybe right, the story just happens. Like, that person, like, for where we are.
My name is John Cena.
Little bit.
Where we are, we could maybe run into Mickey James or something,
But nowadays the world is so like dangerous. You don't know, the person might have a weapon or something, and you're like, yeah, that's.
I remember. There's two points I wanted to quickly make, and then we'll move on. The first was, there's a quote I love that CM Punk said years ago, and he said, "I remember I was walking." He said, "I was walking in the airport, and I'm getting ready to go on my flight." And he said, "And I see this guy, and he runs up, and he has these like 4 action figures. He wants me to sign this, and he's chasing me. I'm running with my bag. He's chasing me, and then I stop. I turn around and I go, how does this play out for you? How do you see this playing out in your favor, bud? I'm literally carrying a suitcase. Like, and then the other thing I remember, I have a little bit of personal story. Several years ago, this was about 10 years ago, I was with my friend, and he had to take his dog to this vet. He lived on the other side of Vegas. And while we're at the vet, he's taking his dog in to get his shots. In walks none other than Nicolas Cage.
Oh!
And he had his dog that he took in. His dog didn't look too well. And my friend goes, dude, go get an autograph or go say hi. I'm like, he's in the fucking vet's office. Do you think he really wants to get a photo right now?
Mm-hmm.
And he's all like, yeah, I guess you got a point. I'm like, yeah, because they're just people. And then funny enough, about like 2 years later, I did actually run into him at a convention. He wasn't scheduled there. He just walked in with his son because he loves Superman comics. I'm like, hey, Mr. Cage, I just wanted to say, huge fan. He's like, oh, thank you, man. And then he walked off. It was crazy. He had like a whole entourage. It was really funny. But anyway, it's just funny how things work out. But I'm also, like I said, just in future, I think it's best for people to just play scenarios out in their head. Like play it out in your head. Like, how do you see this going? And 9 times out of 10, you'll make the right move.
Is it wrong if I decide to just like check my phone and then show us my mom it was Nicolas Cage. I mean, I didn't want to bother him because he got a dog. I said, look, Mom, it's Nick Cage, and you like Nicolas Cage, right?
I feel like wrestlers, they're gonna need to have like bodyguards, like like I said, everybody always have all their bodyguards and all the, like, they need to have that kind of protection because I am afraid that more people are gonna act crazier by the minute, you know.
More emboldened. Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say this much with Jack's story here, the Nicolas Cage thing. If I would have like snuck a photo, I wouldn't have posted it online or anything. I just would have showed it, to people I know offline. Because even, I don't think it's right to post people's pictures and stuff without their permission.
Mm,
And I wouldn't do that anyway. I'm too private for that myself. So
yeah. So, anyways, on to Grand Slam. Which before we go into the actual matches, let's go into the backstory.
goodbye.
And the biggest thing was that the way it was advertised or the way it came off of at first was it was going to be like this big pay-per-view. And they were announcing for weeks on end and blah, 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 blah. The pay-per-view, first time in Australia. It's a
I
big
didn't-
event.
Remember when what did I first ask you when they first announced it?
Yeah.
When is the pay-per-view? How much do you think it's gonna cost? Remember I was talking about that?
Yeah. And the bad thing is that the answer is I don't know because they kept changing stuff around. We didn't know exactly the day. We didn't know whatever. Then we found out that it's not pay per view. It was like a
A
TV show
glorified,
episode of Collision.
yeah.
And then on top of that, it's like because you know how Australia has the time zone difference, so when they're going to air, it's going to be live or whatever. And then it's kind of like, oh, it's going to be Saturday night or whatever on the same day as the NBA playoffs, whenever the hell that's over. So you don't know exactly when and all that. So that was like a big mess. And then the big thing, this is what I wanted to tell Johnny, for an example, is that when it was first announced, it was supposed to be at this larger arena here, big stadium. Let me see here. I got it somewhere. Yeah, it was supposed to be at the Suncorp Stadium, which can fit up to 52,500 people, and it was going to be for the event. But later on, they changed it because I guess it didn't sell as many tickets as they were expecting. You don't want it to be, like half empty or whatever. They moved it to, let me see here, to the Brisbane Entertainment Center with a limited capacity of only 1,300 people. So you go from 52, let's round it off, 53,000 people to only like about 1,300 people and a half. You know what I mean? And the big kicker is, so this is check this out, Johnny, because you've been to the shows before. I know Jack too, but I actually coexisted with Johnny, so we pay big money, right? We pay big money to get real close front row seats at this big AEW event, and of course you're paying for traveling, your airfare. Oh my God, especially tickets to Australia, right? Then they change it to a smaller venue. You're not getting your money back or like the difference or whatever. And on top of that, you're getting the shitty, like super high nosebleed seats. So you paid for front row seats, like DJF always does. And at this big arena to get shortchanged to a smaller arena, shitty ass seats, no money back, and no I don't know, 20% off or something, like the price difference, nothing. So what do you think of that?
It's horrible, and you gotta also think about that. Most of the time, I don't know the logistics, but usually, hotels are typically not that far.
Hotel fare too. Yeah.
So imagine you already booked your hotel. I'm just saying, for example, I don't know the logistics, but just an example. Hear me out on this. Imagine that you booked a hotel that even if it's not far away from the original location, you're supposed to, watch the pay-per-view. It's gonna suck to. I don't know if you're gonna be able to cancel the hotel thing and then go to somewhere else, but it's just too much of a nightmare. Like you already spent a lot of money on the air flight. You spend a lot of money on booking a hotel. So that's close to the arena. And then, you know what? We're gonna change it to another location. So that would suck so much.
I didn't think about the hotel
But the
stuff.
worst part about it is it was non-refundable. And on top of that, according to multiple fans who were at the arena, all the people that got really good seats not only were not given a refund, but when they moved the arena, were given nosebleeds.
That's messed up.
Oh, and apparently people actually in Australia were saying that a lot of people didn't even know about the event. It was like horribly advertised over there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
None of it was advertised properly. It wasn't on television. It wasn't on billboards. It wasn't. It was basically word of mouth. And I'm like, oh, I wonder why you didn't sell a stadium. Durr. Like, like seriously.
Now,
I'm like, God.
but this is also horrible because I think that this also is going to like. Let me just say it this way: I don't think Australia's going to be in a rush to have another AEW event anytime soon.
Nope. And on top of that, on top of that, there's not only that. Remember, the last big wrestling show that happened was WWE's Elimination Chamber there, and that sold out way more than this one. So I'm like, if they could sell out that stadium, I'm just saying, like that kind of tells the Australia fans, I'm like, who has your actual back, kind of thing, you know. And that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about, like with that. And then on top of that, before we even get to the damn pay-per-view, the fact that apparently whoever, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna blame Khan because he's the head honcho. He apparently they did not bring the right size ring. What I mean by that is the ropes and the ring need to be the same size. The ropes were 20-inch, 20 by 20s. The ring was 18 by 18. I know 2 inches doesn't sound like a lot, but in comparison, the reason, if you look at it, the ropes were like this, like kind of smushed looking. The ring looked compressed. It's hard to explain. I've put these rings together, so I know. You don't want larger ropes. You need them by the capacity of which the ring is, because otherwise it's the equivalent of putting rubber bands on a watermelon. And the boards on the base of the ring start curving. And they start dividing. And the matting gets thinner.
So it's be harder when you hit it.
Yes. And not only is it harder when you get hit, it's also more dangerous when you misstep.
And we have someone who did suffer from that.
Mm-hmm. Which we'll get into once we get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So,
wait. I just thought of something else too with the Brisbane thing. They say even for people who are native in Australia, they would think. I think some Australian fans saying that Brisbane was not a good place to have that kind of a show because it's actually travel to get there.
Where the Australia stadium is, it's closer to like more touristy. It's a little more closer to like touristy beachfront area. It's kind of like Long Beach, kind of. And then like where the Brisbane one is kind of more it's not bad, it's just more city. It's more like smaller city. So it's more it's like the difference between going to Long Beach and going to Chicago. You know, Chicago is a more bustling city. It's harder to commute around.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the problem too. And that was before they even had the show. And they would say, well, they have it in Brisbane. And I was like reading, some comments and people saying like, gee, I don't even like going to Brisbane if I can avoid it. Stuff like, comments like that. And they said, yeah, and it takes me too long to get there because of where it is and how to commute there and fly there, all that stuff. And they said, people said, why didn't they have it like Melbourne or where, some other place, a place like that. Or Sydney. Oh well. Oh goodness. On to the show. I'm sorry.
On to the actual show.